everybody, and welcome back to Art a la Carte. In today's video, I'm going to show you some tricks and tips to drawing horses. In this video, we're just going to draw a basic profile of a horse standing and show you those little tricks. For this drawing, I'm going to be using a pencil, and I'd highly recommend for you to use a pencil as well, because we're going to be drawing some extra shapes outside of the normal horse body that you're going to want to erase. If you use pen, you're going to have strange boxes floating around your horses. So let's get into drawing the actual horse. And to start off, I'm going to draw a box shape. And I want the box shape to be just slightly smaller than what I want my actual horse to be. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have a ruler. You don't have to measure. You just want to you can just eyeball it if you want to. I mean, you could totally measure it if you want. You just want roughly the same length on all the sides. This is the body and the legs of our horse. This is going to give us the correct proportion. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut this box in half very lightly, because we're going to be erasing this line here. And in this portion right here, starting at this top corner, I'm going to draw in a nice circle shape right here. However it fits, being a nice even circle. I don't want like an oval circle. I want a nice even circle. And I get a lot of you guys asking, how do I draw such good circles? There is a little trick that I learned to drawing circles, and I have a video where I share that. It's a really simple, easy trick to practice in improving your circle drawing. So I will leave a link to that at the end of this video or in the description box of this video if you want to check it out. But again, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but you just want a circle, not like an oval or lima bean shape or something. So this is going to be roughly the chest of our horse. Then over at this end, we're going to draw another circle. I'm not going to have it come down as far, maybe out just a little bit, roughly inside that box. It's a little bit smaller. It's going to be this gap, and that's okay. So this is going to be the rump of our horse, right in here. And in the middle here, you can draw another circle if you want. That's going to be the chest, or the rib cage of our horse. So roughly about 3 circles. If I take this first circle that we drew and I cut this circle in half, and I bring this line all the way down, that's going to be pretty much where our legs are going to go on our horse. The front legs. These are the back legs. Now it doesn't look anything like a horse right now. I totally get that. So, but we're going to be building in some extra details. So this is going to be the back side of our leg, and then we're going to draw the front side. So about halfway between this point and this point, we're going to draw in kind of a curved line here, coming in to about halfway. This is the muscle part of the leg. Here's the knee. We'll put a little circle right in there to represent the knee. And then after this point, from here to here, a lot of tendons, very little muscle. It's very, I mean, there's muscle obviously, but not as much as up in here. We're going to come down to the ankles of the horse and then bring it in. This is where there's a little bit of detail. This is the fetlock, comes in. This bone comes out and down, and there's like this triangle shape for the horse's hoof. Now that we have the shape in here, we can kind of clean up everything. I have a little bit too much muscle. That's why, again, I say important to draw with a pencil. That way you can kind of erase lines that you don't need. And this is going to be the kind of the back elbow of the horse's legs. It kind of comes out there for the elbow. But when it gets to that knee, it really just tightens in. It's nice and muscular up here, and nice and slender right down there. Now over here, this is the chest, so we're going to bring this out. There's some good muscles right in here. Just a nice diagonal line right about there. As soon as this circle gets close to this line here, this is where the neck is going to start coming out. And depending on what your horse is doing, if it's looking up or eating or, you know, reaching around to itch something, that's where the neck's going to go. I'm just going to have my horse kind of looking up here. So I'm going to start right here, back at the center line. This is kind of where the neck begins to come out, the neck muscles, and have this kind of come out. And again, I'm going to keep this really, really light and I'm going to bring this line up. I'm not going to keep the same thickness. It's slowly and gradually going to get thinner and thinner as it comes. You don't want to have it come really thin because you'll have this really weird horse neck, and you don't want to have it stay the same thickness because then it'll be weird. So you have to kind of just practice looking at reference, kind of judge that distance of how it thins out, and it's going to come up to about there for the horse's head. I'm just blocking the horse's head. It's kind of this odd triangular box shape. So here's the front half coming, and they kind of again are tapering down to the muzzle. Some people put a large circle here and a smaller circle here to help you kind of judge that distance. But again, I say it just takes a lot of practice learning what a horse really looks like and not what we kind of think it looks like. So I'm not going to get into a lot of detail till I get the rest of the horse drawn out, because I really find that once I have everything blocked in, then I can kind of begin to see where I need to fix proportions. So let's go ahead and work on this back. So at this top point here, there's a really good muscle up here, or bone, I guess. The withers, this is where the saddles usually sit, and try not to slide off. If you ride bareback, you will definitely know the withers, because man, you hit the withers wrong and that hurts. And then we're going to have this backbone, and we don't want to sway down too bad because we don't want to sway back horse, and we don't want to make it a camel, but it has just a very slight sag to it, just a little bit, until it gets back to this circle here, and it's going to round around that circle, just like that. Same thing down here. This muscle is coming down around here. This is the bottom of the chest, and this is going to be relatively flat, maybe just a little bit out to go around the rib cage. And you'll notice here's our halfway mark here. I'm coming up a little bit higher. If you have that down there too much, you're going to have a really fat horse. So just come up just a little bit. That kind of showed us where the leg really kind of pops out. But we're going to come up just a bit from that halfway line. Come out around here, and we're going to follow kind of the line of that circle till it meets up here, just like so. Because here's the rib cage, and once the rib cage ends, then everything kind of gets mushy. This is the flanks. This is where you don't want to kick because it's really tender for a horse, because there's no like bones or anything right there to protect anything. So here we are with the rump of the horse. So when it gets to this top point of the circle, it's going to kind of really curve down nicely to the back of the rump. And depending on what breed of horse you're drawing, that will change a little bit. Some horses have more rump than others. Some have kind of a pointier rump. Yeah, just looking at different breeds. So in this point here, we're going to see where this bone is. So here's the hips for the horse. And it's going to come down. This bone comes down here. There's the first kind of bend here. This can bring the horse's leg up, like if you're having a horse get shoed or something. The other person will lift their horse's leg up to clean out their hooves. So this bends right here. We're not going to have that bend in this drawing, but just so you can see that's where it bends. So it bends slightly coming back here to the back of the horse's leg. We can kind of have this come out of the circle now, or out of the square here. So there's that, and then from that point comes down. Back legs were probably the hardest thing for me to learn how to draw. It took me forever, so much practice to get this down. So don't get frustrated. Years, I'm telling you guys, years of hundreds of drawings, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of drawings before I began to understand that. And even then, if I have a trouble spot, it's going to be back here. Always is the back legs that gives me troubles. I'm going to go back again for the fetlock of the horse. The bottoms of the hoof flat on the ground, and come up. So just like this part here, nice and slender, just on your tendons and your little bit of muscle. Once it gets around, this back part here comes up, it's going to thicken out a little bit. And then about halfway between here and here, really begins to thicken out. And again, kind of depends on the breed of the horse, about how much it thickens out. Lots of muscle. We're going to come out here just a little bit. And just play around with that a little bit. Clean this lens up so I can kind of see what I'm doing. Okay. Now you don't have this usually go up too high. Just in a little bit, and the kind of the skin kind of mushes out, I guess. And then the underbelly right there. So we'll bring the other leg in here. So we'll have this one, and I'm just going to draw really lightly. I'm going to draw that bone coming in here. There's that one. A little bit thicker there. I'm going to bring this back just a little bit here. It's something horses I've been around will do a lot. They'll just kind of rest this foot just a little bit on its toe. Just like that. Sometimes that'll be a little bit closer. You could bring this other leg in a little bit if you wanted to. Again, just playing around with pencil, so you can just move it around. A lot of times when we make a mistake, we're anxious to erase that mistake and then draw again. But what happens is when we make a mistake and we erase it, oftentimes we're tempted to draw the same line. But if you can go back through and draw your correct line first, then go back around and erase the line that you didn't like, you'll find you'll fix that a lot better. Bring this out just a little bit more for more muscle there. Okay, so there's our back legs. For the other front leg, we're just going to get maybe a little bit of a hint of that. So I'm going to follow a little bit of that same line. Maybe we'll just have this leg coming out just a little bit further. Now because it's back further, that hoof is going to be up a little bit. It's not going to be on the same level. Same thing with this here. I need to raise this one. This hoof should stop right about there. All right. So it's looking more like a horse, you guys. A very sketchy horse. Let's go and take our pencil and just kind of erase some of these guidelines that we don't need anymore. Erase that box shape. So kind of clean everything up, help us to see our proportion. A lot of times when we draw something and it just looks off, it's because of the proportion. And I wish there was an easy answer for it, but there isn't, aside from practicing. The more you practice, the better you're going to get. And I can tell you, I have not drawn a lot of horses in the last little bit. I've been doing a lot of other things, and I can tell you I'm a little rusty on my horses. A couple years ago, I was drawing tons of horses all the time. And that's why it's so important that as we're drawing things that we don't just draw one thing and then forget to draw other things, because then we get not so good. If we're just drawing animals and we don't draw any people, then our people aren't going to get any better. Or if we just focus on drawing, cars, our trees might not be so hot. So make sure you have some good variety in things that you're sketching and working on to help you not forget things that you've learned. Now, a good way to check your drawing to see if something is wrong is to do the flip test. And what you simply do is you take, and it's really hard for me to show you here, but you take and you flip your picture over upside down and hold it against something that has light on the other side of it, like a window or a light bulb, and see how the image now is reversed. By reversing the image, it's going to help me to see any kind of mistakes that I have. So one mistake that I see is these legs are nice and thin. These are a little bit thicker. Granted, the back legs are a little bit thicker, but down here they should be as thin and delicate as the front legs. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that. And I always say, don't move on to the intricate details until you have the base shape, the base design, the way you like it. Because if there's something about this that I don't like, Me going in and adding details with the mane and the face and shadow and highlight and saddles and bridles and all that fun stuff, amazing background, isn't going to fix this. It's just going to make it a lot more challenging to go back and fix later. So spend the extra 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long it takes, and get this part the way you like it. Then you can have tons of fun creating all the other details that you really, really, really like. Okay, because this pencil can tend to be really smudgy, and I don't want to smudge it with my hand, I'm going to take and make a smudge barrier. A lot of people say, well, how do you not smudge your drawing? This is a great trick to doing that. Is just take a regular piece of paper, not an expensive piece of paper, like this is just computer paper, and lay it down between you and your drawing. And that'll help. You can move your hand on this. It's not going to smudge your drawing up. Okay, so I'm going to add some details. I'm not going to go into great detail on drawing the head. I've got a couple of horse drawing videos on how to do that on my channel, and I will link those. You can click the little box right up here. There's a little eye right there, and I will have a playlist to how to draw horses there. You can find all those videos. But I have the cheek up here and then the muzzle down here, and right in this top corner here, that's where the nostrils are. So I'm going to just put this nice circle right in there. As horses are running or exerting more energy, those nostrils will flare and get bigger. When they're more relaxed, they're a little bit, they're not as big. They like to flare their nostrils out. Now you have a little bit of their chin coming down there. Okay, so here is that circle for their cheek. If I come in about halfway through that, come up towards the top and put a circle, that's a great place for where the eye will go. And the eye, just going really quickly, is kind of this lemon shape. So a circle, but kind of pinches on both sides just a little bit. Not super big. I tend to always draw my horse's eyes way too big. I think I draw everything. People, everything. I'm always a big eye person. So for me, that's something I always have to look at. Am I drawing keeping my proportions correct? I tend to put just a little bit of a shine in there, just kind of puts a little life in the drawing. And there are all these bones and little tiny muscles in the horse's face that if you want to have a really good, effective drawing on a horse, I would highly, highly recommend that you take some time to study those. And again, I'm not going to go into great detail on all of those in this one. Check out those videos. If those videos don't help you, let me know in the comments of this video, and I will see about making more detailed video talking about all the little bits and bobs on the horse's face to help you get a better drawing. But one thing this horse is definitely missing is its ears. So right up here is the pole of the horse's head, the very top, kind of the forehead. Coming right back behind that, I'm going to draw in some kind of long tubular triangle shapes. The awesome thing about horses' ears is they can be pointed forwards or back, depending on their mood or what they are paying attention to. Now for a little bit, for the underside of this neck, I'm going to just kind of curve that in just a little bit, so it's a little bit more shape to it. So it wasn't kind of bulging out. There's this really nice thick muscle that comes from the shoulder up. I mean, there's muscle here, but there's just massively huge muscle right there. So if you kind of indicate that, it'll just add that extra dimension there into your horse. While we're talking about muscles, here's the shoulder blade here. Sometimes I'll put a little line kind of coming out right here. Maybe not so big, just to kind of indicate that shoulder. That's this diagonal from where the neck begins and kind of the neck ends here over by the withers. Another indication line I like to put is right here behind the chest muscles and the leg muscles. Just put a little bit of a line there, kind of indicates as the muscles wrap around. And then right back in here where the withers are, I tend to sometimes put just a little bit of a very light, and again, just Takes a little work to figure out exactly how you want those to look. A little bit of mane and tail work. So let's start with the tail here. Coming off the backbone here, as it starts coming down here, this is where the tailbone is actually, if you look at a horse, it's not just hair coming out here. There's an actual bone coming out right here, if you ever got a chance to feel a horse. And then the hair grows off of that. So that's why you see when horses are running, they can hold their tails up, or if they're pooping, they hold their tails up. Be careful of the raised tail. Doom. And then we'll look at drawing their mane. I mean, these are so much fun because you could, do a short cropped mane, you could do braids on their mane, you could do a long flowing mane. Let's just do a traditional mane, which usually covers about half of the neck, just like about there. So I'm going to have it kind of come up just a little bit off there, because if you've seen any of my how to draw people's hair videos, I always say to draw the shape out and then draw it up a little bit off of the actual physical body. Gives it a little bit of air and volume to it. So here's the neck muscle itself. So I'm going to draw that up just a little bit, and then drawing this as a shape. Usually as it gets higher up on the neck, the strands get a little bit shorter. As it gets down further, a little bit longer. I'm going to draw them kind of clumping. Just like that. And one other place you want to put some hair is just a little bit right between the ears. It's called the forelock. Kind of helps keep things out of the horse's eyes. Some horses have such long forelocks that you can barely even see their eyes, depending on the breed. And there we go. There's our horse. Looking pretty cool. Looks like it's ready, waiting for its morning meal. When I was a kid, I wanted horses so bad, but I lived in the city and we couldn't afford horses, so I would draw them. And each of the drawings of horses they had a story, they had a personality. So I'm going to add some shadows to things I want to push back a little bit and add some difference. So like on these back legs, I'm just adding some shadow there. Around these muscles, adding some shadow there. I add a little bit here under this muscle, a little bit, maybe a little bit in between the cheek and the mouth itself to kind of push things back, kind of shade in that other ear. All sorts of things. You could put tons of detail. This is just the base of your horse drawing. It just gets more fun from this point. This is the hard work. Once you get to here, you're like, whew, having so much fun, because now you can begin to think of backgrounds, you can think about decorations. Maybe you want to put somebody riding on the horse. You can put halters, saddles, hook it up to a cart, draw a horn on it, make it a unicorn, draw wings on it, make it a pegasus, draw a horn and wings, make it, a pegacorn, alicorn, depending on what nerddom you listen to. But again, this is something that if you've never drawn a horse before, don't get frustrated if this is challenging for you. Horses are challenging, but they're so much fun. They're so worth it to keep practicing on and being able to draw better and better. Give ourselves time to get to know the animal that we're drawing, practice it. But the more you do, the better it's going to get. So I encourage you guys, have fun creating your own horses. I would love to see a picture of them. I always encourage you guys to show me your art, what you're working on Instagram or Twitter or on my Facebook page. You'll also find links in the description box below so that you can check those out, check out what I'm working on. What kind of horses do you have? Do you ride English? Do you ride Western? Do you ride wild and crazy, like bareback? That was actually my favorite way to ride. I loved going bareback. Or maybe you're like me and you've always just dreamed of having your own horse, but you've never gotten to have one. Tell me about what kind of horse you would like to own. Or horses you would like to own. You guys, we can dream big. It's okay. So let's chat about that in the description box below. If you're brand new to my channel, thanks for hanging out with me. I have loads of horse drawing videos, all sorts of videos out there you can definitely check out. But I highly recommend pushing that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any future videos. And then check out maybe one of these two videos. I'll put them, well, it's not on the horse's rump. We'll put them right here. Check out some of these videos for other fun drawing art fun. And as always, thanks so much for hanging out with me and drawing with me. And until next time, God bless you guys, and we'll see you in the next art video. Bye-bye!